Assetto Corsa Competizione is the main competitor to iRacing. So, being an iRacing specialist... I've made an overtake in the first corner, there's an incident! Oh no! I thought I should give it a go. After taking part in practice and qualifying, it was time for my first race.
Green light, give it okay.
And we're away for my first Assetto Corsa Competizione race. Oh, 6 on the grid. And... oh, this is scary. I don't really know what's going on. There's someone spun out ahead, and I've made an overtake. Oh, 2 overtakes. Someone else has spun out. I'm right up now, near the front. Whoa! Tires, I can feel the grip loss. One thing I can tell you straight away that is different to iRacing, and I think better, is the sound. The sound in this game is amazing. They've paid attention really to the details that you get in racing. In racing a real car. As you go around the track, and that was a poor corner. Hear all the extra noises, not just the engine, but the clatter of rocks, all the metal in your car that's banging against other metal and rattling. That's what they've really perfected, and again, a terrible hairpin, but we've kept our position. I'm actually in P3, so this is a good first lap. It was a bit of a pain in the arse to set up, though, I must say. iRacing was very simple when I started, and it was very simple to change from one screen to triple monitors. This was a real pain in the backside. I have to say I was not impressed with that, and it's taken me at least 2 or 3 goes to even bother getting to this point where I can race. At first, I wasn't sure if I liked the way that the handling felt. But now that I've had a couple of laps with it, including qualifying of course, I actually think I quite like it. I quite like the way that the tires feel. I think I can feel the grip quite a lot. Now the graphics are really good, except for other drivers. Now as you can see in front of me, this guy is just... it doesn't even look like he's on the same track. It doesn't even look like he's part of the same PC generation as me. It looks like he's from the 90s, drifting all over the place. And it's not my internet, because my internet's good. It could be the GPU, but still, I mean, iRacing manages to handle that pretty okay. This game is obviously quite a bit more visually impressive than iRacing as well. It's just got a bit more, I wouldn't say it's more realistic, but I'd say it has more flair to it. You know, it's got kind of that hybrid between iRacing and Gran Turismo, where Gran Turismo has this flares and the reflective surfaces and all this, I don't know, hyper-realism attempted stuff that actually, in the end, makes it look more fake. Whereas iRacing's got a flatter look, which is, I would say it looks less realistic overall. And this is somewhere in the middle. It definitely looks more impressive. Whether it looks more realistic, I don't know. What I don't like, though, is their head-up display and their interface. I think iRacing's default standard one is much better. Obviously, there's ways around this just by getting a third-party overlay software, but I think iRacing's is just much more simple to use, clean. This one is... I don't mind the standings one down in the bottom left, but the place lap delta thing, I think it's just a bit too much. I also think the movement, the default movement in this game is very, very realistic. It makes it look more aggressive. It's not something that's going to matter if you have like a motion simulator or something, because you will be, you will be part of the motion. So your body, your head will be flying around. But when you have a static simulator like this one, and like most people would have, or a desk with a wheel and pedals, the motion has to come from the screen. And the head motion and the head wobbling, the violent nature of all the shaking and the rattling, it's much more realistic, and it makes you feel much more like you're controlling a beast, which you are in this GT car. And I think that is also more realistic. You're not as still as you might be in iRacing, and as smooth. This is definitely bouncing around. You can see it just on the straight here. Whenever you brake, your head jerks forward like it would under heavy braking. And I think that is something that makes you feel like, wow, yes, I'm really in a high-powered racing car here, and I'm really moving at high speed with high forces.
There's a slow car up ahead.
Aha! Yes, I'm back in P3. An accident for the previous P3 has left me inheriting the spot, and I'm back up into a podium position in my first ever Assetto Corsa race, and I'm driving with this quality, this standard, which is terrible. I have to say though, both games, iRacing and ACC, have done a very good job with replicating the course. Not that I've been to Zolder in real life, but I can say that having raced in Zolder and iRacing not that long ago, and now playing it on ACC, they're very similar. There's a couple of brake markers and such, like flags and things like that are different, but it would have just been scanned at different times, I suppose. And the actual circuit is pretty accurate on both games, and you can replicate your driving from one to the other very easily. The more I get to using this car, I have to say I do really like the force feedback in this game. I feel like you can feel the front tires especially quite nicely. I'm not sure if it's maybe I'm just the way I'm driving, or that's not to say that it's a bad feature in iRacing, and it's not even to say that it's better in ACC. I just feel like I'm able to maybe control the car a bit better. I feel like I'm making less mistakes for what I make on iRacing, and I don't know if that means that this is an easier game and it's just maybe tailored to people that aren't as hardcore, or if it's a more realistic game. And you know, I'm not a bad driver in real life. I would say I have good car control, and maybe I'm just better able to replicate it on this game. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to do some further comparisons for that, but I definitely feel like I can make more consistent drives and less mistakes on ACC right from the get-go. Oh, that's a nicely taken corner and a beautiful circuit. I just love driving this circuit, Zolder. Such a nice track to be at. And at the moment, being in P3 on my first race, that is not going to be a bad result at all. One more lap to go now. Let's make it a good one. We've been improving pretty much every time. I qualified with a 137 something, so my best of a 135 is much, much better than that. Whoa, missed the apex big time there though. See, I was able to correct that slide much more easily than I feel I would have been able to in iRacing. Again, missing the apex there though, so that's not brilliant. I think the braking is just a little, I don't know if I want to say worse, but less responsive maybe on this game. That's my initial impression. I feel like I get less feedback out of braking, even though I don't have force feedback pedals or anything like that. Maybe the feedback that I'm getting from the car in the race
Car on the left.
is just not as good. I'm not really sure, but whenever I brake, I feel less like I know when to trail off, or when I know I'm reaching the limit. But as we come round through the final chicane, it's been a very good race, and despite some mishaps, I'm happy to report that it is a debut P3 in Assetto Corsa. Come on, baby, let's go. What a brilliant race. Final thoughts then. Well, I had fun. That's the start. As I said during the race, there are some differences between each of the games. It's not one or the other, it's maybe personal preference, and there's definitely aspects from each which are preferable for me than the other. But overall, I had a lot of fun, so I might try this again sometime. I even got a good result to start with. If you are interested, please don't forget to subscribe. If you want exclusive member content, then become a Patreon below. There's also my Discord and affiliate links in the description for any of the gear that I may use. I've been the Novice Racer. Thank you for watching.
Only weakness I have is for the brunettes. You already know I'll kill any shit I do next. No kids, so I'm raising the roof. Next year they'll admit they just stands like an Uzbek.